Everybody knows Steve Kerr as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors Dynasty. But what if I told you that as a player, he won more NBA titles than LeBron James, Larry Bird, and Shaq, and was one of the greatest shooters and most valuable role players in NBA history. And he did all of it after living through a childhood of tragedy.
Malcolm Kerr was shot in the head by two gunmen posing as students.
This is the story of one of basketball's greatest winners, who almost lost everything. Steve Kerr's path to basketball greatness began with devastation. Born in Beirut, Lebanon in 1965, where his father Malcolm worked as a university president, Kerr's early life was shaped by international experiences that would later inform his worldview. But in 1984, when Steve was just 18 years old, his world shattered.
Malcolm Kerr had just gotten off an elevator and was about to go into a meeting on campus when he was killed.
His father was assassinated by militants while serving as president of the American University of Beirut. Malcolm Kerr had been targeted for his American identity and educational leadership during Lebanon's civil war, gunned down outside his office by members of the Islamic Jihad organization. The senseless killing of a man dedicated to education and cross-cultural understanding left Steve grappling with grief, anger, and questions about violence that would shape his perspective on life far beyond basketball.
Children murdered at school. When are we gonna do something?
The loss devastated the family, but it also forged something unbreakable in young Steve. At the University of Arizona, he channeled his grief into basketball, becoming one of college basketball's most clutch performers. His senior year in 1988, Kerr shot an incredible 57.3% from three-point range, a record that still stands today as he finished his college career as the NCAA's all-time leader in three-point percentage. But it was in the 1988 Sweet 16 against Iowa where Kerr truly announced himself. With Arizona trailing and their season on the line, Kerr hit shot after shot, finishing with 17 points and leading the Wildcats to the Final Four. NBA scouts took notice, not of his athleticism or size, but of something rare, his ability to perform when everything was on the line.
For Arizona fans, it's hard to imagine anyone not knowing who Steve Kerr is.
Yet, despite his college success, Kerr heard his name called late in the second round of the 1988 NBA draft. 50th overall to the Phoenix Suns. Most players picked that late never make it. Kerr was about to prove he wasn't most players. The NBA is unforgiving to undersized guards who struggle to create their own shot. In his rookie season in the desert, Kerr averaged just 2.1 points per game over 26 games, often riding the bench for long stretches. The Suns had championship aspirations and therefore weren't patient with unproven young players, and after just one season, they shipped Kerr off to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a future second-round pick. Suddenly, Kerr found himself desperate to prove he belonged. Cleveland was a struggling franchise, but Cavs general manager Wayne Embry said that Kerr, quote, has a good knowledge of the game, and I especially like his shooting ability. So over the next 3.5 seasons with the Cavs, Kerr still found himself primarily riding the bench. His best season came in 1992 when he started 20 games for the 57-win Cavs and averaged 6.5 points on 43% shooting from deep. The stroke and offensive game were clearly there. Kerr just needed someone to give him a chance. Because the following season, the Cavs traded him to the Orlando Magic, where his career nearly stalled completely. The Magic had young talent like Scott Skiles running the show, and there simply wasn't room for another point guard. Kerr played just 47 games for Orlando, watching from the bench as his NBA dream seemed to slip away. Steve Kerr was 27 years old, supposedly in his prime, and it just wasn't happening. But then, just as Kerr had almost given up, fate intervened once again. In the summer of 1993, the Chicago Bulls came calling, looking for shooting to complement their championship core. Little did anyone know, this trade would lead Kerr to the dynasty that would define basketball in the 1990s. So after a forgettable half season in Orlando, Steve Kerr's career took its most important turn in '93 when the Bulls acquired him for practically nothing. The Bulls, of course, were coming off the first retirement of Michael Jordan, but when MJ returned in March 1995, Kerr found himself in the orbit of greatness. And look, playing alongside Jordan wasn't easy. The GOAT demanded perfection from everyone, and he wasn't shy about letting you know when you fell short. In one infamous practice, Jordan and Kerr got into a heated exchange that escalated into a full-blown fight. But instead of backing down, Kerr stood his ground, earning Jordan's respect in the process.
Michael was definitely testing me, and I responded, and I feel like I kind of passed the test, and he trusted me more afterwards.
And that trust paid off immediately. In the 95-96 season, as the Bulls chased history with their 72-win campaign, Kerr shot a league-leading 51.5% from three. His impact was undeniable. He finished 9th in Sixth Man of the Year voting, recognition for his ability to change games off the bench. He wasn't just along for the ride. Kerr was a crucial piece of the Bulls machine. But it was in the playoffs where Kerr truly proved his worth. After the Bulls coasted to a title in 1996, defeating the Supersonics in 6 games, the 96-97 season brought even more pressure. Could the Bulls repeat? Could Kerr handle the spotlight again? Well, the answer came in the most pressure-packed moment of his career. Game 6 of the 1997 NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz. With 25 seconds left and the Bulls trailing by 1, Jordan drove to the basket, drawing the entire Utah defense. And at the last second, he kicked the ball to Kerr, who was standing wide open at the top of the key. The crowd at the United Center held its breath. Kerr, ice in his veins, knocked down the shot that gave Chicago the lead for good. And we all know how this goes. 3 years, 3 championships in the Windy City. But just as Kerr was becoming synonymous with Bulls' success, the dynasty crumbled. Jordan retired again, Phil Jackson left, and the Bulls rebuilt. At age 33, Kerr faced an uncertain future. The San Antonio Spurs offered him a lifeline, but could an aging role player really contribute to another championship team? The answer would come in the most unlikely way possible. When Kerr signed with the San Antonio Spurs in 1998, many saw it as a veteran chasing one last paycheck. At age 33, his body was breaking down, but his mind remained sharp. The lockout-shortened 98-99 season created a 50-game sprint to the playoffs, perfect for an aging veteran. Kerr's championship experience proved invaluable alongside Tim Duncan's dominance and Greg Popovich's system. And just like that, Kerr won his 4th consecutive championship in 1999 when the Spurs defeated the Patrick Ewing Knicks. But Kerr's defining moment as a Spur actually came 4 years later in Game 6 of the 2003 Western Conference Finals against Dallas. With the Spurs down by 13 points in the 4th quarter and their season on the line, the 38-year-old Kerr checked in and single-handedly saved their championship hopes. He hit 4 3-pointers in rapid succession between the end of the 3rd through the 4th, leading to a stunning comeback that eliminated the Mavs. And Kerr would add one more ring to his collection that season when the Spurs claimed another championship. Though his role had diminished, he played just 20 minutes total in the finals against the Nets, his veteran presence remained valuable. 5 championships as a player, each one teaching him lessons he'd later use as a coach. As he prepared for life after basketball, he had no idea his greatest achievements were actually still ahead. The student was about to become the master. After retiring in 2003, Steve Kerr seemed destined for a comfortable career in the sport. In 2004, he became a minority owner of the Phoenix Suns and served as their general manager for 3 seasons with Steve Nash and the iconic 7 Seconds or Less Suns. He then also tried his hand at broadcasting as a color commentator for TNT, but Kerr's true calling wasn't in trades, draft picks, or behind a mic. It was in the locker room. After the 2014 season, when the Golden State Warriors controversially fired head coach Mark Jackson, many were skeptical about Kerr's fit as an NBA coach. The Warriors had young talent in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but they'd been a middling franchise for decades. Could a first-time head coach really transform this team? Well, Kerr's answer came immediately. His first decision revealed his genius. He moved David Lee to the bench, a former All-Star, and inserted Draymond Green into the starting lineup, creating the, quote, death lineup that would revolutionize basketball. He implemented a motion offense that maximized Curry and Thompson's shooting while emphasizing the ball movement and joy he'd learned from Phil Jackson in Chicago. And the results were stunning. The 2014-15 Warriors won 67 games, and Kerr earned Coach of the Year honors. But the real test came in the playoffs, where his championship experience truly paid off. When the Warriors fell behind 2-1 to LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2015 finals, Kerr made the gutsy decision that defined his coaching philosophy. He benched center Andrew Bogut and went small full-time. The Warriors then won the next 3 games and the championship, with Kerr joining his former coach Jackson as one of the rare people in NBA history to win titles as both a player and a coach. But this was just the beginning of something unprecedented. The 2015-16 season showcased Kerr's ability to manage greatness. The Warriors didn't just win. They beat the once thought unbeatable 72-10 regular season record set by the 96 Bulls that Kerr was on as a player, going 73-9 in historic season.
It's official, number 73. The greatest regular season in NBA history now belongs to the 2016 Golden State Warriors.
What you guys just accomplished is incredible. I honestly thought nobody would ever beat that record.
Steph was voted the first unanimous MVP in NBA history, but it was Kerr's system that really unlocked the team's potential. His motion offense created open looks for everyone, while his strength in numbers philosophy kept egos in check. But after coming back from a 3-1 deficit against OKC in the Western Conference Finals, they notoriously blew a 3-1 lead to the Cavs. The finals loss to Cleveland stung, but it taught Kerr valuable lessons about managing expectations and pressure. So when Kevin Durant joined the team in the summer of 2016, many wondered if Kerr could handle 2 superstars. And the answer came in the form of back-to-back championships in 2017 and 2018. But Kerr's greatness wasn't measured in defeating opponents. It was in how he built sustained excellence. So even when injuries derailed the 2019 NBA Finals with long-term injuries to Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, and then a season-ending hand injury to Curry in the early 2020 season, Kerr never lost sight of the bigger picture. He developed young players, maintained the team's culture, and positioned the Warriors for another run. The 2022 championship, their 4th in 8 years, proved that Kerr had built something lasting. He had built a dynasty. And that title was perhaps his most satisfying. With Curry, Thompson, and Green, the core he developed from the beginning, Kerr showed that loyalty and development could triumph over the league's super team culture. Kerr had accomplished something remarkable: 9 NBA championships as a player and a coach, putting him in the same conversation as legendary figures like Bill Russell and Phil Jackson. And that doesn't even include 2 gold medals as head coach of the US men's national team at the Tokyo and Paris Olympics. But perhaps Kerr's greatest achievement isn't measured in rings. He proved that intelligence, preparation, and character matter more than physical gifts. Sometimes it's about knowing your role, embracing it completely, and executing when it matters most. In a league obsessed with individual brilliance, Steve Kerr became a champion by making everyone around him better. And that might be the greatest victory of them all.